G'day everyone, and in this video I'm doing a bit of a survival challenge in the middle of winter. It's going to be cold, there's going to be a lot of rain, and I have minimal gear with me. I've got no shelter except for a wax canvas tarp. I've got no sleeping gear, I've got no water. I've got to get a fire going so that I can last through the night and create my own shelter to protect me from the elements. Stick around, it's going to be a good video. And for today I'm doing a bit of a winter survival challenge for tonight. Now I'm very grateful because I've had the opportunity to come down to a private property bushland. It's a big block of bushland because of a mate of mine, and so that means I'm going to be able to, you know, whip up a bit of a survival shelter and have a fire going all night, because it is winter, so it's going to be very cold here in Victoria. And not only that, we've got rain and hailstorm coming, so I've got to whip up some kind of a shelter. Alright, so I was told about this spot by my mate and it looks great. I've just put my stuff down here. A lot of deer trails and stuff that run through here, but what I like about this, there's a creek right there, so I've got a water source. It's pretty open, as you can see. Because it's a bit windy, I don't want to have any branches falling on me. And plenty of dead wood around to get a fire going all night and to build some kind of a shelter. And I'm just looking at this little branch here, and that looks kind of perfect for to get my shelter going. So I just wanted to go through my gear. Everything I have here is what I'm using to get through the night. Temperatures are going to drop down to about maybe 1 degree. I don't think it'll get down to 0 degrees just because it's not going to be one of those clear nights with no clouds, so you won't have the frost or anything like that. We'll get cold, 1 to 2 degrees, but with that rain and with that being wet, that can easily lead to hypothermia. So look, it's not something crazy like how you see the Canadian guys in -10 and -20, but it's still going to be a good challenge, because if anyone's ever been lost out in the bush before with nothing, you'll know that it can get quite cold and get quite miserable, especially when it's raining down here in Victoria. And I wanted to still go with that traditional swagman, traditional Australian bushman appeal, and only bring stuff that, you know, you'd probably find back in the day. So besides the camera gear and the black bag, that's pretty much the only modern stuff I've got. All right, so clothing. I've got my oilskins. I've got oilskin jacket, oilskin pants. I've got woolen pants on underneath this, and a woolen jumper. So, you know, if it rains, I'm keeping dry. That's good. This old school beanie. Pair of gloves and a pair of leather gloves as well. For my fire starting methods, I've got flint and steel in here. I've also brought with me an old pan, and this is an old bush saw. This is actually my dad's from his farm that he grew up on in the 1960s, I do believe. So this is going to be great for all my chopping of wood. I do have a knife here. It is a modern knife. This is an R&N Blades knife, but yeah, you know, good to carry a knife out with you everywhere. This here is my oilskin jacket. It's a poncho, sorry, oilskin poncho from Stillman, and it can work as a tarp. So I really wanted to test it out in some, you know, rainy conditions and see how well this would work as emergency shelter. I've got a little billy here which I can use for boiling water, a little cup. I've got a cotton bag here so I can filter out muddy water, because the water here is pretty muddy. Bit of twine. A survival challenge for overnight survival challenge, you can easily go without having any food. I thought, you know, why not? Why be miserable? May as well bring some stuff out with me. So I thought I brought 1 steak, 1 stout, and 1 coffee, dog and gun coffee for the morning. And that's what I got with me for this trip, basically. So yeah, I'm excited and ready to get into this. First things first, I think I'm going to get the shelter up and running first, just a simple shelter. Yeah, so we need to cut it. That on that. I should be wearing my gloves for this, but if I'm correct, this is Lamandra. And Lamandra, because I'm on private property, I can do this. You can actually chew on the stems of these and it gives a nice little tasty bush tucker. That's actually really good. I'm going to just collect a few of these and use these as stranding so I don't use up too much of my twine. Lamandra is also great for weaving. The indigenous used to use it for weaving as well. So this is my Jack Stillman sorry, it's not an oilskin, it's a wax canvas. Wax canvas poncho. And it doubles as a ground sheet, which I've used out in the snow. And this is the first time trying it out as a tarp in emergency shelter in a rainstorm. So very interested to see how the wax canvas is going to perform as a tarp. I've used oilskin as a tarp before, but I've never used wax canvas for a tarp. So you can feel this thing is heavy duty. Good thing is this has some tie off points, so I'll just tie this off and that should give me a bit of protection tonight, but I'm going to use the twine to tie that off. Now I just want to make a couple of pegs, so sharpen the end of this. Here we go. Oh, beautiful, look at that. Oh, that's a great peg. Alright, bit of protection there. I'm pretty happy with that. Next step is to make a bed, and I might just cover that up with some branches just to yeah, just make a bit of extra protection. This is tea tree. It's very scrubby. I'll just take a few branches down. I don't want to take much because it's living, but it's there's so much of it, it's very thick. I'll just get a few pieces here and there so you can't tell, and that should be enough. Well, this is actually perfect. The big gum branch has come down. We've still got plenty of leaf cover on it. I'm just going to grab a bunch of this stuff. Oh, that's perfect. There we go. And again, the point of this is not to be really rainproof, it's just to block that side wind and yeah, the side rain. So the wax canvas tarp should do the majority of the job, and this should just protect myself a little bit more in there. Okay, that is my shelter. Plenty of room. You can tuck right in here if it rains. I've got 3 tasks left. I need to get some bedding. I need to clear the area for a fire and collect all the firewood. And I need to get water, and I need to filter and boil water because I have no water on me. Now, the weather's starting to change. It's getting windy, clouds are rolling in. So I might skip the bedding part for now, and I might actually just start collecting firewood. Collect a lot of tinder and stuff like that, obviously, so that if it does start raining, I've got dry tinder, because everything's quite dry now, but it won't be later. This here, stringy bark, and this It's perfect tinder, nice and dry, and this is what I'm going to use to get a spark. So I'm going to grab a bunch of this stuff, and the idea is on a stringy bark tree, just take a bit off, don't go right around the tree because that's called ring barking. Just take a bit off one side, leave it, go to another tree, which is what I'm going to do. So I'll leave that. You can see the deer have already gotten into this tree anyway, but I'll just get a bit more from another tree as well, just so I don't take too much bark from one tree because they're still quite young, these trees. And with this stringy bark, you just want to crumble it up as much as possible, and the idea is to make a big bird's nest out of this. I might, while it hasn't started raining yet, it's still dry, start collecting some bedding. Now, usually I'd use bracken fern for bedding. I love bracken fern. You can collect heaps of it and you can make a good bed, but there's no bracken fern around. I don't want to lay on tea tree because that's very spiky, so what I'm thinking of doing is cutting a bunch of, this is black wattle, and I might just collect a heap of this, as much as I can. And look, I'm not too worried about making a very thick bedding. Usually you want to make something very, very thick, but I do have my oilskin jacket, which, worst comes to worst, I could lay that down as insulation tonight. But anyway, I'm going to collect a bunch of this stuff. That's it. Anyway, so I'm not going to stress too much. This is just a bit of padding, really. A little bit of insulation. You'd probably want it a lot higher in a survival situation. Alright, it's time to, I reckon, go collect some water. So have a look at this water source. This is a dry creek that runs through here. Obviously the creek is not running right now, but there is some pools. Now this kind of a pool is going to be full, absolutely full of bacteria. I reckon deer would come in here, they drink here, they shit here. Look at the color of it, that's disgusting. But I could still drink from there, and this is going to be my water source. But I'm going to show you the best way, an old school Swagman way, where you can purify this water without using modern purification methods. And I'm going to boil up this water in this billy. Now, it's still pretty festy, so what you want to do is you want to filter it. Now, the old millbank bags, which I think are from the 1920s or 1980s, they were used in the military, they're great to use as a way to filter out all that mud and crap. Now, I don't have one. I do want to get my hands on one, but I do have a cotton bag. As you saw, this cotton bag, the water ran through it so fast. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put it like that. I might chuck a bit of leaves in there, and I'm going to create a bit of a filter system and just keep pouring and slowly fill up like this. So, you can hear it tipping there. Still pretty festy, but look, it's better than what it was. But I will boil that up, and that's going to be my water for tonight and coffee in the morning. So might taste a bit manky, but if I boil it, it should be good. Alright, it's getting really dark now. That storm is truly on its way, so I'm going to get a fire going now, even though it's only 3 o'clock. There's plenty of wood to burn for the night, and I'll collect some more wood as well before bed. But I want to get a fire going, so I've got my stringy bark. I want to make a real bird's nest out of this. Fire going. I'm going to be using the flint and steel method with a bit of charred cloth, and I've got plenty of charred cloth here, so let's get this going. There we go. Now I'm going to chuck that right in here. Simple as that. As easy as that. I'll make another fire over here. I don't know if you can see, but it's looking really gloomy. A lot of weather moving in. So I want to get this up and going as fast as I can, but it's looking good now. That's fully boiled. Couple of big logs going. I've got shelter, I've got fire, I've got bedding, I've got everything I need to get through this coming storm and get through the very cold winter night. And that's what it's all about. Gross. It looks like coffee. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that. It's like coffee water. Here comes that rain. Yeah, so it's a pretty consistent rain now coming in. I'm glad it's not that heavy, but when I'm at the front of the little shelter I do get wet, but I have to tuck myself right up to the back to stay dry. The fire's still going good, which is good, but it's going to be interesting to see how we go tonight. Once it gets dark I'll do a bit of a cook up as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a bit wet, I'm going to be honest. There it is there. Zoom in on that. Oh yeah. Beautiful. This is quite miserable. It's quite wet. There's a lot of rain right now. I'm like it's dry if I tuck myself right into the back of this shelter, but I'm still getting splashes of water all over me, and that fire's, it's hanging on, let me say that much, it's hanging on. We'll see how we're going to go. Goodness, this might be a, yeah, this might not work out. Alright. There we go, that's a good steak. I'm going to put that on the ground here. There we are there. There's my steak. Man, it's wet. Everything is wet. And move it around like that. Look at that. Proper wet now. Jeez. Proper rain. Oh, I'm going to try and eat this steak. Oh, wet steak. Yummy. Oh, that's cooked. This is going to be a rough night. Oh man, this steak is good. Just take these gloves off. Well, there's not really much to it, but to hunker down. I feel like the rain is slowing down, which is good. It is meant to slow down throughout the night. The fire's still raging over here, which is good, but I'm just tucked right up to the back of my shelter to avoid getting rained on. If the fire goes all night, I'm sweet. If the fire goes out, it's going to be really rough. Alright, I'm going to pack this camera away now because it's just getting too wet. And yeah, I'll see how I go, and I'll talk to you in the morning. Well, it wasn't the best sleep, but it wasn't the worst sleep. Rain really settled down around 8 PM, and then the stars came out, and it was a beautiful night, and it just got really cold. So lucky I had that fire going all night, and then the rain started up again around 6 this morning. It's about 7 now, so still dark because it's winter. Uncomfortable night. Oh yeah, dog and gun coffee will make any water taste good. So a couple of thoughts on last night and last night's sleep. You know, the Jack Stillman Poncho, look, I've got to admit, it held up really well. We had quite a bit of rain. It was like 9 mil of rain or something. Unfortunately, around the zipper, where the seams are, where you put your head through on the poncho, it started leaking through there. So I'm glad I had my oil skins on, and I was wrapped up in that, so that kept me at least dry from the water. Look, yeah, it still works great as an emergency shelter. If I was out camping for a couple of nights and there was wet weather, I probably wouldn't use this as a tarp. I'd probably use my other oilskin tarp. But you know what? This works fantastic as a poncho to wear, and then also it works great as a ground sheet. So it was just good to experiment with it and see how it held up. All in all, I think it did a good job considering we had a lot of rain. Yeah, look, last night was uncomfortable, but I'm used to that by now. And you know what? I think these camps now, these survival camps where you feel really uncomfortable, you just bear through the night in the cold, it's actually, I I think it's character building, and it helps you in life. I'll give you an example. Last week my son, 8-year-old son, stepped on a crochet needle and it went like a few inches into his foot. It hit his bone and it had a little hook on it, so I couldn't pull it out. So we had to take him to the emergency, and he ended up actually having surgery to get that out of his foot. But we went into the emergency at around 7 p.m. and we didn't see a doctor until about 4:30 a.m. So I was just sitting in the emergency. It was so full that my son ended up sleeping in the corridor, and I just sat there for the whole night. And it's uncomfortable, you're tired, you know, but I think these kind of survival challenges help in those kind of situations in life, to just be patient and just bear with it and be uncomfortable and don't complain. Because, you know, other people were coming in, and after around waiting for 3 hours, they were losing their heads, you know, like getting real upset, and I'm too tired for this and I need to see a doctor. And you know, even my son, he did really well, and I think because I take him on camps like this, I take him out camping, and he's used to sleeping rough. And so I think in society today, we're just so used to being comfortable and have everything on demand, that when a situation comes where you get quite uncomfortable, some people don't know how to deal with it. So these kind of camps, I think they're really beneficial for that. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing plenty more of these, especially in the winter. I'd love to get up into the snow and do some survival, no shelter challenges in the snow. We'll see how we go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If so, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, give a comment and a like. And I do have a Patreon as well if you'd like to support me to continue making these kind of videos. Otherwise, I'd just like to thank my friend Jono as well. Just thanks, mate, for letting me come and use this beautiful private property bushland. It's great having property to do this kind of stuff, to build shelters and muck around. I really do appreciate that, mate. Otherwise, it's time to pack up and go home. I'm gonna try and clean up as much as possible so you can't tell I was here, and it's a good one. Thanks for watching, everyone.